our kids run a little bit late. The North Branch kids, we all been on the bus, so we have a lot of you all coming in together. The nine in front probably know me. I'm Mr. Carlson. Some of you in the back, I may look familiar to you. I taught at North Campus only 3 years ago, so some of you probably running around there when I was there. Taught social studies up on the second floor there, but right off the bat, I want to say congratulations to you. I know Mr. Herman and I spent a lot of time on the legwork of this program, what it's going to look like, and how we're going to select who's here tonight. And you were chosen by your coaches. I'm thinking that was explained in the letter, if I remember correctly. But this is going to be really transformational for you in really how you approach what you do here at South Campus or at White Bear Lake High School or North Branch Area High School. Over the next 7 times as we meet, you'll grow and you'll start to see, and really the leadership skills that you have kind of just given to you, you're really going to enhance those as you go and be able to bring those things back to your school and to your community. This is kind of a pilot program, so we are kind of going with the flow with some of it, but we think it's going to be a pretty awesome experience. I know that's Mr. Herman back there at North Branch, guys, if you want to turn around and wants to wait. He's got a little more gray hair than me, but we're about the same age, so I don't know what happened. At least in the old North Suburban when we were there, I don't know about Suburban East, but it sounds like most of them kind of have a one-day deal in August where you go and you do some stuff, or you're doing something in the fall or in the spring, excuse me. And it's a couple hours, it's good stuff, but there's no consistency, there's no follow-through, there's no follow-up on it. It's kind of like, here it is, and go take it and run with it. That's not what we're going to do here. This is going to be ongoing throughout the year. I think we've got 7 meetings. This is the 8th one, and we've got 6 in a banquet deal, kind of bringing it all together, a ceremony piece, which we'll talk about as we go. But this is going to be really good stuff, so obviously with everything you do, have an open mind about it. And enough from me. At this time, I'm going to have Mr. Pete Ockuly come up. Pete and I worked together, I don't know, almost a decade ago, I suppose, at Champlain Park High School when I was teaching and coaching. And when I left, he was telling me about the stuff that he was developing, and I was like, man, I wish I was kind of stay in the C part of that and see what this program is going to be all about. And here it is. A little background: Pete's a football coach, a wrestling coach. He teaches biology at Champlain Park High School. I don't know, 4 years ago, he was a semifinalist for Teacher of the Year. You're not going to find a better presenter, probably in the state. He understands his curriculum, he knows his audience, and he's fantastic with kids. And I'm excited to talk to you guys in 7-8 months when he's done with you over the next 7 sessions and see how each of you has grown. So enough about me. It's all you, Pete.
Thanks. Well, I want to echo what Mr. Carlson just said. I want to congratulate you. Obviously, somebody in the world's a good judge of character because they asked you to be a leader. And when they're asking you that not necessarily, I mean, this whole program is about enhancing the skills that you already have. So they already recognize the skills, right? They already see that there must be something in you. And maybe you've already felt that. Right? Maybe there's been a time in your life where you've kind of looked around and you go, man, it seems like I have a way of influencing people. Well, that's kind of a gift, but at the same time, it's something that you can develop. And for me, I don't really feel like I have that gift. Like, I'm a teacher, and I'm a coach, and I'm a father, and so I've kind of been thrown into some leadership roles, but I don't really feel like I've been gifted with anything special that makes me an extraordinary leader. Mr. Carlson has a gift. Mr. Herman has a gift. I've known Mr. Herman since before most of you were born. I've known Mr. Carlson since before most of you could ride a bike. And I can promise you that if either one of them had the time to do what I'm standing up here doing, they would do it. But they don't have time to write a curriculum and do all those kinds of things. But I talk about leadership, I teach about leadership, I research about what effective leadership is. But these guys live it, and they live it on a whole different level. So if you're ever looking for a model of what a really good leader is, you're lucky. Because you don't have to look any further than your own school's activity director. And that's actually the case for both White Bear and North Branch students. They're also very good judges of character, because they invited me here. They're also very good judges of character because they invited you here. So obviously they know what they're doing. That said, I kind of asked you not to open those books. And I guess it doesn't matter whether you did or not, but I'm going to ask you not to write in them yet. Because what I'm about to do is a little dangerous. It could very easily get me fired from this job. I'm going to invite you to leave. I'm going to invite you to, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. Okay? But before you make that decision, hear me out. Because what I'm going to ask you to do tonight is really important. And I don't want to sound over dramatic, but it's not just important for this room. It's not just important for the few people around you. But it's important for your communities. It's important for the larger area like the state of Minnesota. It's important for our country's future. And not to get too over dramatic, but what you do is going to affect the world for the rest of this century. That's hardly dramatic at all, is it? So, I'm telling you right now, if you don't want to do this, you really shouldn't. It's kind of like, have you ever seen the movie The Matrix? Anybody ever seen The Matrix? Well, there's a scene in The Matrix. Okay, so the basis of the movie is basically that there's a guy who he doesn't really, he knows that there's something more to life, but he can't figure out what it is exactly. And someone comes up to him and very mysteriously says, do you want to know the secret of life? And he basically says, kind of like Alice in Wonderland, he kind of says, you can have the red pill or the blue pill. But if you swallow the blue pill, please understand, there's no turning back. If you swallow a red pill, you just go home, pretend this was a dream, and nothing ever happens. Of course, he takes the blue pill, and it leads to the movie The Matrix. I guess I'm kind of saying the same thing to you tonight. Not yet. Give me a chance to explain myself. But I do want you to know that if you don't want to do this, you probably shouldn't. Because it will take some effort. It always takes some effort to enhance the skills that you've been gifted with, right? I know we have many athletes here, right? Raise your hand if you're an athlete. Okay. Any of you born with the skills that you have and then never had to develop them? Of course not. Everybody has to develop the skills that you've been gifted with. So I want to talk to you a little bit about leadership quickly, and then kind of get you talking a little bit. That's sort of the idea. The first thing I want you to know about this leadership program, have you ever been to a leadership, anybody in here ever been to a leadership seminar, like a one-day thing or something like that? Okay? Maybe even a two-day thing? How about like a week-long thing? Or a couple of months? Okay? Those programs really don't exist. And I'm not sure why. Because it's totally contrary to how we know the human brain works. The human brain doesn't develop overnight, and it's not like a computer where you can just reprogram it, right? The human brain is a living thing. It grows, and it needs time to grow. Just like anything that's alive needs time to grow. And so if you're going to develop new habits, well, habits are developed in your brain, which is a living thing. It takes time to grow. The essence of this program is that it's going to happen over 7 months. And the things that you're going to be going through And it's not, believe me, it won't be me standing in front of you talking the whole time. The things that you're going to be going through are going to take place over a 7-month period. Well, a little bit more than that, I guess. 7 sessions. We're asking you to commit to 7 sessions. Now, I understand sometimes people, well, I'm on vacation, or we got this going, or we got that going. That kind of stuff happens. But if you can't basically commit to the 7 sessions, you really shouldn't do it. That's number one. Now, why? I like this little quote right here. It says, because it says, going to a one-day leadership, let me start that again. Going to a one-day leadership seminar is like saying you're going to eat once and for all. It doesn't work that way. You're a living person. You're constantly growing and changing, and so will your leadership skills. So that's the first thing, is that this is going to take some time. It's going to be worth it. You're going to have to trust me on that, but it is going to take some time. Another question I want to ask you is this. And this is a hard question, man. This has been a hard question for me to face. As a coach, as a parent, as a teacher, I ask this question to myself just about every day. Would I want me as a leader? Would you want yourself as a team leader? Think about that question for a second. Would you really? Would you follow a person like you? It's a simple question, but really take some time to think about that. Who are the people you follow? What are they like? Are you like that person? For some people, when I ask that question, this whole thing gets way too big. This is getting way too real. Okay. Hang with me for a second. So those are the first 2 ideas that I kind of really say you should consider. Another thing I kind of want you to realize is this. It's very comfortable to sit where you're sitting and say, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I know that. I understand that. That's easy. The question is, once you know something, what do you do about it? Once you know you're leading people down the wrong path, which as a leader you probably will do sometime. Once you know you're making a mistake, what do you do about it? Do you just continue to make the same mistake? Because like this little quote here says that knowing and not doing is the same as not knowing. So in this program, we're going to ask you to live what you yourself sort of develop into. And finally this. Are you willing, really willing, to accept the challenge of leadership? Is being a leader easy? It can be if you're good at it. I mentioned those 2 up there. They're good at it. They've been doing it for a long time. Mr. Herman, I've known Mr. Herman since about 1994, 95. I watch him coach. I watch him lead. I don't even really think he thinks about it. I think he just has habits that leaders do. He doesn't have to think about it. Do you? Are you willing to be the kind of person that people follow? You might say, well, I'm not really sure. What is a leader? What does a leader do? Well, let me ask you this question right now. If I said to you, define leadership, or define a leader, who'd be willing to share? Say that a little louder, that's pretty good. Someone that sets an example to be followed. Not necessarily barking out orders all the time, but sets the example to be followed. Good.
Someone with an open mind and the ability to influence others.
Someone with an open mind and the ability to influence others. Because let's face it, if you don't influence, you're not a leader. Good. What else? The question, sometimes when I ask this question, it's kind of like nebulous. Do you know what the word nebulous means? It's like a cloud. Like, I kind of see it, but I can't really get my hands around it. That's what nebulous means. That's the same thing for the definition of leadership. It's nebulous. I know a leader when I see him, but I can't quite get my hands around him. Right? Sometimes it's easier to ask, what do good leaders do? You want to see what the research says about that? This is going to tell you whether or not you want to be a part of this program. Period. This will tell you right now. Here's 5 things leaders do. The first thing all good leaders do is they pay attention to results. They're not just, like I said, barking out orders, and they're not merely setting a good example for the sake of setting a good example. They're going somewhere. And they're paying attention to where the group is going. And if you're not paying attention to where the group is going, you're probably not really a leader. If you really don't care where the group is going, you're probably not really a leader. Think about your team. Do you care where your team ends up? If you do, you're probably a leader. Here's a scary one. Are you willing to do this? Are you willing to say, you're screwing up? You're doing it wrong. You're not giving us enough effort. And are you able to do that in a way that actually influences their behavior? Instead of saying, you know what, I know you're using. And then that person just continues to use. Right? Or you're not giving a good enough effort. And then that person just continues to not give a very good effort. So a leader can actually confront people and hold them accountable to what they're trying to achieve. And here's how they do it. They generate commitment. You think you can do that? You think you can generate commitment? Do you think that you can get together with a group of your peers? These are your peers now. It's easy to do that with little kids, or don't. Can you do it with a group of your peers? Some of them are down too. Can you do it with a group of your peers? Can you generate commitment with a group of your peers? This is getting a little scarier, isn't it? How about this? Can you manage conflict? Some people say you can't get commitment without being able to manage conflict. That doesn't mean cover up conflict. That's a bad idea. Covering up conflict creates all kinds of politics and things you do not want to deal with, believe me. If you can manage conflict, this person believes this person believes this, and manage it, let them battle it out without killing each other. That's the most effective thing a leader can do. Now, how do you do that? How do you get this person to battle this person in a constructive, good way? How do you do that? This is the most important thing a leader can do. The most important thing a leader can do is build trust. Because now if this person is going to battle this person, that's totally fine. Why? Because I trust you. I trust that you and I are actually going to the same place. We may differ about how we think the best way is to get there, but we trust that both of us, we're not doing it for our own self-benefit. We're doing it because we trust that we both want, everybody wants to get to the place we're trying to get to. Look at those characteristics. Those are characteristics of a leader. Those are the things that leaders do. Now, if that's scary for you, let me just tell you, that's why I wrote a book on that. Okay, that's my book. how to do those things effectively. Anybody can do them. You do them effectively. That's why I asked you not to open it. Because I'm not 100% sure that you're in for that. But if you are in for it, I promise you, at the other end of the tunnel, you're going to come out a really successful, effective person. So that said, now I invite you to either open that book or don't open the book. I really don't, I shouldn't say I don't care. I care. But it's not my decision, it's your decision. So at this point, if you want to open the book, go ahead and open the book. If you don't, there's bottled water up there. You could grab one on your way out. I think there might be a cookie up there or something for you too. And you are welcome to shake hands and part ways. And that's all I got for you tonight. Huh? No. Yeah, well, if you're staying, you're still probably going to get a cookie here in a couple minutes. Don't worry. Okay, well, I'm glad you're all still here because I thought that was going to not go that well. Okay, that's it. I'll take your little plastic fingers. All right, got them? Okay, well, you're here. That's great. You just pass it. Good? Okay. Here we go. Raise your hand if you are a North Branch area high school student. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9? That's it? 9 front? Okay, good. Let's do this. 2. Can you two go and just take that chair right there? Those 2 chairs. 2. Good. You two can stay right where you are. You two, Sierra and Cora, you take those chairs. Casey, maybe take a little spot up there. Alyssa and Matt, can you just go up and just back just to the chair? Now, 1, 2, 3. Would you guys please join these guys right here? One, two, three, 4. Would you guys join this pair right here? Thank you. Don't knock over my camera. I'll really get in trouble. It's not mine. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Could you 3 join Casey over here? And let's see. You two, I'm sorry guys, I can't see your name tags from here. Could you come down here? And then the 3 in the back, could you come and join these 2 right here? Good. All right. So, obviously you can see on the board this is going to be a very fast. Nobody's interested in your inner child right now. That's not what we're trying to get to. What we want to get to is kind of getting to know each other and sort of starting to feel a little bit comfortable with each other. So, this is how this is going to go. If you just kind of go around in a little circle or whatever, and just let people know your name and your school, obviously, most of you probably be able to figure that out. So if you recognize them, they're probably from your school, if not from the other school. Tell me your favorite song is. You got to pick something. Just write down your current favorite song. Favorite songs change, obviously. Now, how about this? An animal that you identify with. So, in other words, you see yourself as a whatever, okay? Think about this one now. A challenge in your life that you have overcome. And if you can't think of a challenge in your life that you have overcome, think of a challenge that you are currently working through. Okay? You don't have to, you don't have to get all personal, but just, I mean, you can if you want, but it's not a therapy session either. It's just kind of get to know you. And then, And then something you're very proud of. Maybe a proud moment in your life, or just something you're proud of, or some relationship you're proud of, or something you've done or accomplished, or anything like that. Okay? Now, I'm not going to give you a ton of time. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes. So we're looking at roughly a minute per person. Okay? I'll start, by the way. I'll just start. My name is Pete Ockuly. I teach at Champlin Park. I went to college at St. Scholastica in Augsburg. I went to high school at Cooper High School. My favorite song is Wagon Wheel, the Darius Rucker version. Written by, who knows, anybody? Who wrote Wagon Wheel? Bob Dylan, believe it or not. An animal I identify with? Wow. Nice, who's that? I'm impressed, all right? I'm impressed. Some people feel a little too comfortable already. Jeez. All right, a challenge that I've had to overcome. I was a teen parent. I was very young when I had my first kid in high school. So, and currently he is a Division II baseball player, and he's grown up very well, and we have 5 children, and that was a challenge, but I'm still with that woman, somehow. A proud moment in my life. When I graduated college. That was a big deal for me when I got through college somehow. Okay, 5 minutes, go.
You got anybody who wants to go first?
All right. Well, I'm Justin. I'm White Bear. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna go for eBay. Weird Al. My favorite song. Kind of like a cat. I'm gonna skip that. I don't know what challenge you're making. I had a lot. Okay, my bread. I've overcome that pretty well. Proud moment of my life would be proud moment of my life. State archery tournament. And then
I'm Joe, the White Bear.
what?
Trying to hear some Spurs.
A challenge I overcome.
I broke my cat 2 years ago, and it was a struggle. There's this,
Proud moment of my life. I'm probably proud of my family.
North Branch? You guys want to go next?
James Matthews, North Branch. Favorite song, probably Little Demons by Imagine Dragons. I like the cat idea, because I don't do much anymore. A challenge probably be just competing with older players on sports teams. That's always hard. I'm faster and stronger. And a proud moment is it's currently still I have 4 points.
My name's Wyatt. My favorite song is Shadow Days by John Mayer. Ever heard of it? It's a great song. You might want to check it out. It's really good. Animal I identify myself with, I would say a seal. I was at the zoo earlier today, and that was my favorite. I saw sunset. I was raised as I only had like one parent. And a proud moment of my life was making it to the state track meet.
You still have a couple minutes, but I want to let you know that when we are done with this, we're going to kind of gather ourselves for just a second. just take a breath. Feel free to grab a water and a cookie. I will kind of tell you that we're sort of breaking the rules to have food and drink in this place. So don't spill any crumbs, and make sure you pick up after yourself and bring whatever whatever you have. Just take it out with you, okay? But feel free to help yourself to finish up what you're doing. Have a cookie and a water, and then in about another 5 minutes, we're gonna get really going here, okay? All right.
So both you guys seniors too?
Yeah. Actually, I think everybody in my favorite is
We're the only two. How can we all just go for it?
I knew that would probably put an end to the discussion.
Can't believe the fall bagel thing came out of my mouth. What animal do you want to do something? A bunny. For no reason at all. I bet you look like that.
like,
Stay here.
were you there at the beginning of it?
Nah, I didn't get there.
We can keep our stuff together, I guess.
I guess it's 4. That, yeah, other than 4, anyone coming to set up there's that one
Which sports do you play?
Soccer and basketball. Point guard and midfield.
I don't really know a ton about soccer.
Kayla.
Started in 8th grade, so.
We're doing soccer.
I know that I didn't get it. You got me a brownie. I don't know if it looked good. That would have been my other choice.
What were you before?
Wide receiver. And I love it. I don't know why I've been doing it my whole life. It's way better. Like 1,000 times.
I used to play football, but I was small and I could run that.